Hello, my name is Stacy Couch and my website is wildgratitude.com. I'm here today to share with you more wisdom from fairy tales, wisdom for the soul, for the spiritual path. The fairy tale I'm going to share with you is called The 7 Ravens. There once was a couple who had 7 beautiful, healthy sons, and after all of them, all the mother and father wanted was a little girl. And they were lucky. They were blessed. Their 8th child was a baby girl. But the trouble was she was sickly and little, and they were afraid she might die. They scurried to baptize her in the home. They sent out one of the sons to get some water from the well for the baptism. The other 6 sons couldn't bear to be left behind, so they raced out behind their brother. When all 7 of them arrived at the well, they got into an argument about who would be the one that got to collect the water for their blessed baby sister's baptism. And as they scrambled to compete over who would receive the pitcher and get the water, the pitcher fell into the well. At home, the father grew impatient. Where are those mischievous boys? They always seem to get into some sort of trouble. I wish they would just turn into ravens. And like that, in the distance, the mother and father heard the cawing of ravens and the whir of wings, and they looked up and saw 7 ravens flying overhead. Of course, they missed their boys, but they baptized their girl, and she grew up to be strong and healthy and was a wonderful consolation to them for their missing sons. The 3 of them were happy together, and one day the little girl, not knowing anything, not knowing that she had had 7 brothers, wandered into town to get some food from the market. And as she walked through, she heard some strangers say, "Oh, she is such a lovely girl. Her parents are so lucky to have her. But it's really unfortunate that because of her, the 7 sons were lost." She couldn't believe her ears. She scrambled home as fast as she could and confronted her mother and father. "Do I have brothers?" And they couldn't keep the secret any longer. The mom and dad sat her down and explained to her what had happened when she was just a baby. They told her not to feel like it was her fault. It wasn't her fault. They really wanted her not to grieve. But she couldn't help but feel guilty. It weighed on her consciousness day and night, her conscience day and night. Until one day she could take it no longer, and she knew she had to do everything she could to find her brothers and bring them home. She stole out of the house, ran away without her mom and dad knowing, taking with her a ring to remember them by, a loaf of bread, a jug of water, and a little chair to sit in when she got tired. She traveled as long as she could, as far as she could go, all the way to the ends of the earth. And when she got there, she met the sun. She wanted to ask the sun if he knew about her brothers, but the sun was hot and angry, and it ate little children. And so she turned and she ran until she came to the other end of the earth and met the moon. She meant to ask the moon, but the moon was cold and creepy, and it said, "Ugh, I think I smell a human child. Sounds good to eat." The little girl turned and ran as far away as she could until she reached the stars. All the stars sat in little chairs and greeted her warmly and welcoming. And she asked them, "Do you know where my brothers, the 7 ravens, are, by any chance? Yeah, we do. We do know where they are. And the morning star sitting in the chair closest to the girl extended out a chicken leg as a gift to the girl. The morning star said, "Take this chicken leg. It will help you get into the glass mountain. And that is where your brothers are." She took the chicken leg in her little handkerchief and wrapped it up and put it in her pocket, thanked the stars for their kindness and their guidance, and she turned back towards the earth and traveled to find the glass mountain. She did eventually find the glass mountain, and when she got to its base, to a door at its base, she took out the handkerchief and opened it up, and the chicken leg was gone. What was she going to do? She had made it all of this way. She knew her brothers. She knew they were inside. She had no choice. She took out a knife and she sliced off one of her fingers in exchange for that chicken leg. And she took the finger, she fit it into the lock of the door, twisted, and the door opened for her. She walked in, and a dwarf came up to meet her. "Welcome to the glass mountain. How may I help you, my dear?" "Well, I'm looking for my brothers, the 7 ravens. Do they happen to live here?" "Oh, yes, they do," said the dwarf. "They do. The Lord Ravens, though, are away right now. You're welcome to stay and await their return." While she stood and waited, the dwarf came and set 7 small plates and 7 small glasses and filled them with food and water. By this time, she had eaten everything, all the loaf of bread that she had brought with her, and drank the full jug of water, of course, and so she was famished. And she went and took a bite off of each plate and a drink out of each glass. And right as she was setting down the last glass, the ring slipped off of her finger and into the glass, and she heard the door open. Behind the door, as it swung open, was the loudest cacophony of caws and scuffling and wings, and they sounded so terrible. She lost her nerve and ran and hid behind a door in the room. She peeked from behind it and watched as the ravens flew in to their seats at the table to eat. One raven looked. "There's a bite out of my food. I smell human on my cup," said another. "I'm sure that someone has been here." And the last of the 7 ravens looked in his cup, reached in with his beak, and pulled out a ring. They all looked. If that is the ring we think it is, if that is the ring of our parents, let it be. We wish that our sister is here. And when she heard that, she gained heart. She stepped out from behind the door and revealed herself to them, and immediately all 7 of the ravens turned back into her brothers. They embraced and made the journey home, where they were welcomed by their parents and lived together happily ever after as one complete family. What a brave little girl to go on this grand journey to rescue her 7 brothers. But what does this tell us about the soul's journey, about the spiritual path? We all experience the pain of illness, disease, and loss, just like the sick little girl that was born to the family right at the moment they about had everything they wanted, and also the loss of the 7 brothers to the family. We also see the suffering that comes from burying that pain down and it becoming a family secret, and how the unveiling of that mystery allows for healing and restoration. The story is a lot about the initiation of the shadow and the initiation into the mysteries of pain and loss, and how we persevere and gain resilience through that, how we overcome the fragility of the glass mountain and come into union and out of separation. That's the big piece here too, is what we initially see at the beginning of the story is this boy-girl dichotomy, right? Well, boys aren't as good as girls, or vice versa. The imbalance of the masculine and the feminine. So the story gives us information as to how we can bring the masculine and the feminine into balance, and in how in our culture we typically are more weighed towards the masculine principle of activity and action and drive and motivation and productivity and being out in the world. And we're missing and longing for that feminine principle of receptivity and quiet, contemplative inner life. So a lot of the story is instruction for how we can set down the busyness of the external life and appreciate and come into and fully embrace the inner life that is a more feminine principle, and then how we bring all of those together in balance. So there's the duality of the masculine feminine, there's the duality of the sun and the moon, the mother and the father, and then there's the multiplicity of the 7 brothers and the sister. There's 8 siblings. So we are more than just 2 sides. We have many aspects of our being. So the story speaks to that as well. So what I've done is I've written up a detailed interpretation of the story for you from the soul's perspective, with guidance on how to navigate the spiritual path. I answer questions such as, why ravens? What do ravens have to do with this story? And also a glass mountain. What a strange name for a mountain. Is it clear, transparent? Is it fragile like glass? What does all of that mean? And then even strange things like, why did the stars give the girl a chicken leg of all things? Quite odd. And also all the way down to the details of the ring that she loses in the glass right at the very end of the story. All of these little details give us even further and deeper instructions into how to do our soul's work. I really appreciate you sharing your time with me to listen to the story and learn more about how fairy tales can bring wisdom for the soul. I know a lot of us have a lot of obligations and responsibilities out there in the world, and this kind of work is one way that you can contribute to your self-care and really nurture your inner world. So I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate what you are doing to make the world a better place. Thank you, and I look forward to the next time we get to meet. Please share your comments below, either here in the video or in the comments of my blog on the website. I'd be glad to hear them and respond to any questions you might have. Have a lovely day.